Hi, everybody. My name is Alexandre Kech, CEO of GLEIF. And today in our episode of Trust Talk, we will talk about who's behind the smart contract, advancing trust layers for tokenized finance. I'm here today with Thomas Mayfield, the head of Decentralized Trust and Identity Solutions at the Cardano Foundation. And we will discuss about an important topic and something that is very close to my heart, having worked 8 years in the digital asset space and knowing how complicated it is to scale this industry. As finance increasingly moves on-chain, one critical question arises and actually prevents scaling, in my view, of this space is who is behind the smart contract and the wallet I'm dealing with. So secure and verifiable organizational identity is emerging as a foundational element for the next phase of blockchain adoption. So it's beyond technical innovation. Tokenized markets depends on clear accountability. So knowing what organization stands behind a contract, a transaction, or even a protocol. So in this episode, we will, Thomas and I, explore and discuss that topic and see how verifiable smart contract and verifiable organizations, as we have described them in a joint paper that we produced last year with Key State Capital, so GLEIF, Cardano, and Key State Capital paper, can support the scaling of a digital asset by bringing trust into this ecosystem. So, Thomas, thank you for being with us. And can you please introduce yourself a bit more in detail and before we come to the conversation?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the invitation, Alex. It's great to have a chat with you again and the GLEIF team. My name is Thomas Allen Mayfield. I am the head of Decentralized Trust and Identity Solutions here at the Cardano Foundation. I have a background in computer security and digital forensics and PhD research in decentralized identity with a focus on industrial IoT. But my work here at the Cardano Foundation has been focused on verifiable identity, a protocol-based approach to digital identity. And we've built a fantastic relationship, and we have numerous synergies with GLEIF, the vLEI, and those underlying protocols. And I think that's one of the primary reasons we are here today to discuss further. I look forward to that chat.
Did I hear correctly in a previous panel that I was watching this morning that you also worked in law enforcement?
That's correct, in Canada. That's absolutely right. Back in sort of 2011, I've got a bit of an interesting background. I was born in England, but grew up in South Africa and Canada and pursued a law enforcement career initially. The long and short of it is I got injured and then retrained with a focus on the technology side of things and moved into cybersecurity and digital forensics.
It's always fascinating to see the life of people and how it can evolve in various directions based on circumstances. Thanks for being with us. So last year we wrote a paper with GLEIF, Key State Capital, and Cardano Foundation on verifiable smart contract and how organizational identity, as we describe it, is the missing trust layer in today's blockchain ecosystem. So why is secure organizational identity so vital to the future of tokenized assets and digital finance? And what makes the issue so urgent today, according to you?
Well, this is the fundamental question we aim to answer in that report last year. I mean, the reality is we don't have verifiable identity integrated into smart contracts and the execution conditions. We don't have high assurance identity verification on chain, and we don't have robust cryptographic binding to the digital wallets, then it's extremely challenging to answer that question you posed in the introduction. And I think that question will come up a couple of times, who is behind the smart contract and the wallet? I mean, but to answer your question more comprehensively, Alex, secure organizational identity is vital for tokenized assets and digital finance in the same way that it is for traditional finance today, where legal entity verification is a prerequisite, whether you're opening an account for trading or investing. But as these activities move on-chain, the complexity increases. I mean, because of the scale, because of the necessity to traverse multiple blockchain networks. I mean, there's regulatory requirements and there's considerations for cross-border digital finance. But I mean, more simply, tokenized assets present significant opportunity. But without high assurance organizational identity on chain, the ability to irrefutably answer that question, who's behind the smart contract and wallet. I mean, this opportunity, unfortunately, is accompanied with significant risk and ultimately limits confidence and adoption. I mean, we've solved the value transfer challenge with blockchain, and now we need to solve the trust transfer.
I love that. You said blockchain solved value transfer, but not trust transfer. So many blockchain projects still operate without verifiable organizational backing or governance clarity. So what challenges arise when the entities behind smart contracts can't be clearly identified, especially for regulators, institutional investors, and counterparties in general seeking accountability?
I mean, that's another fantastic question. And I mean, there's a reality here that we can't ignore. We're increasingly seeing cyber criminals gravitating to digital finance. I mean, and this is likely due to the ambiguity in regulation. I mean, and also this ability to move funds across crypto assets and blockchains. This is commonly referred to as chain hopping. I mean, I had a great opportunity to speak at the Blockchain for Europe conference last month in Brussels. I think that's the panel you mentioned earlier on.
Absolutely.
And prior to my panel, there was a cryptocurrency specialist working on Europol's financial crimes team. And this was an eye-opening and somewhat unsettling panel to hear. I mean, the scale and the magnitude of the crimes that they investigate. I mean, the reality is, because of this lack of high assurance identity and this transfer of trust across domains, criminals are effectively breaking these audit trails, enabling money laundering at a formidable scale. But if I come back to your question regarding regulators and institutional investors and these counterparties seeking accountability, when real-world entities behind smart contracts are arduous and difficult to identify, it undermines enforcement, it undermines risk management, and ultimately it undermines trust. Regulators today struggle to identify the addressee, that responsible entity or person. And when parties are hard to identify and they are geographically dispersed, it is very difficult to determine which countries' laws apply, who must comply with licensing, including the AML, the KYC, the sanctions list, the consumer protection rules. It goes on and on. Ultimately, how do you enforce those obligations? Institutional investors themselves, they also struggle. They can't assess the credit risk. They can't assess the capacity. Even the overall intent, because of this pseudo-anonymous nature of smart contracts, this problem we're trying to solve. Audit, valuation, governance frameworks, these all require traceability of those responsible entities. So without an ability to clearly identify, again, who's behind the smart contract, investors are facing higher capital charges. They simply cannot invest at times. Counterparties also struggle with these same challenges. In scenarios where smart contracts are executed, whether it's maliciously exploited or it's an implementation defect, these bugs in the underlying code that we see so often. Again, it comes back to, without the ability to concretely identify the actors involved, your legal recourse, your legal binding between the contracts, these organizations, even the natural persons behind, this is all called into question. And remediation is often unattainable.
Absolutely. And on top of that, it needs to be done instantly, obviously, and in an automated way, because you can't expect a market to work instantly 24/7 and having compliance checks, AML, CFT, and others still happening in hours and days and blocking the process to happen. So hence the importance also of automation. So in our collaboration with GLEIF and Cardano, we position the vLEI as a bridge between off-chain and on-chain governance. So how does connecting a vLEI to a smart contract or organizational credential improve trust, transparency, and accountability? And how might this align with emerging regulatory frameworks for digital assets?
So this is what we've been focusing in on a lot at the Cardano Foundation. Fundamentally, the implementation of vLEI technology, right, underpinned by KERI, Key Event Receipt Infrastructure, ACDC's Authentic Chain Data Containers, and of course, GLEIF's vLEI ecosystem governance framework. This all enables this high assurance identity verification that's necessary to solve these challenges we're talking about today. I mean, the bridging capabilities that you mentioned between on-chain and off-chain governance, I mean, they're only possible due to the network agnostic nature of the vLEI and the Kerry protocol. I mean, what we see being implemented across blockchains, and ecosystems are domain-specific or rather siloed identity solutions that fail to bridge that trust transfer that we touched upon earlier. vLEI provides a robust and future-proof framework, and this enables identity verification beyond the boundaries of an ecosystem, an organization, even a geographical footprint. So when we apply this to smart contracts, and we continue to demonstrate on the Cardano blockchain and with Viridian, which is our digital identity infrastructure and tooling that we've built using Kerry and ACDC, we can enable verifiable smart contract execution beyond the payment keys, where smart contracts require both wallet keys and identity verification to complete their execution. With robust cryptographic binding, again, between the identities, between the wallets and the smart contracts, we can demonstrate a proven path to tackling many of these challenges we're discussing. But from a regulatory perspective, when the digital identity associated with wallets and smart contracts is rooted in a high assurance governance framework, such as the vLEI, and it's one of the reasons we've chosen it, the identity can live both on-chain and off-chain whilst remaining cryptographically consistent. That's key here. The challenges surrounding sort of traceability, authenticity, auditability, and importantly, compliance, they all become resolved. As it pertains to specific regulation, such as the travel rule, we mentioned this in our report last year, the one we co-authored with yourselves, GLEIF and Key State Capital. It's important to emphasize here that vLEI brings an existing regulatory-grade identifier into the scenario here. This enables compliant, verifiable smart contracts and crypto assets.
That's excellent. So let's look, we talk about regulation, compliance, operational and compliance prerogatives and challenges, but let's talk about the strategic opportunities for institutions now. So beyond compliance, what strategic opportunities open up when institutions can deploy verifiable and accountable smart contracts that partners, regulators, and their customers can trust at first sight?
Right. So when institutions deploy high assurance identity bound, verifiable, and accountable smart contracts, I think I quoted you correctly there, new revenue and product models begin to emerge from my perspective, with authenticity and trust built in, by default. Institutions can launch, these compliant and programmable financial products, with confidence. And this enables enhanced automation, like we mentioned, scalability, and access fundamentally to these underserved and emerging markets that, previously and today are too risky. They're too complex to address. So, I foresee faster, deeper partnerships. These can be established by way of shared, auditable smart contracts. That's just not available today. And these provide a verifiable source of truth that, you can joint venture on, you can invest initiatives together, and with a future-proof, tamper-resistant audit trail on and off-chain, regulators can automate rule enforcement. That's a game changer and benefit from real-time visibility and detectability. Enabling, again, this innovation that we're speaking of. For customers, I think brand trust and ecosystem leadership. This strengthens through verifiable smart contracts. It enhances reputation, it enhances integrity, and ideally this results in better customer acquisition, and retention.
Yeah, so different, more and new ways of collaborating, and so how might this shift in collaboration and risk management happen across financial networks?
Right. So if I look at the crystal ball, I would say for financial networks, we can envision more collaborative, utility-focused infrastructure. I mean, enabling, again, this shared coordination and risk management instead of the existing bilateral, legal, and operational, these the Band-Aid or the bolt-on solutions that we see that just don't cut it. But more specifically, I would envision risk management shifting from the current sort of after-the-fact monitoring into real-time prevention, right? And again, that's a paradigm shift here. And this shift I'm referring to, it also enables a reduction in sort of duplicated efforts and costs around risk management. But the real innovation is not so much on this efficiency. It's on this verifiable authenticity of events within these financial networks.
Let's talk about value now. So we've mentioned that the real innovation isn't necessarily only efficiency, but also authenticity. So tokenized assets are often praised for efficiency, automation, and speed, but what additional value emerge from when we combine these benefits of efficiency, automation, and speed with verifiable organizational identity? What value on top of what we just discussed can we see coming
when you combine them?
Absolutely.
I mean, I would say that combining tokenized assets with verifiable organizational identity, and what we're speaking of now, I mean, it transforms these fast, efficient, automated crypto asset services, for lack of a better word, into trusted, auditable market infrastructure, right? So, I mean, the key difference here is, compliance becomes baked in. I mean, it not only benefits the crypto assets themselves, but it also benefits all the downstream actors, the marketplaces, and those associated service providers. That's how I would somewhat summarize what that combination brings to the table.
That makes sense. And so this is within the digital world, but what about bridging traditional finance and blockchain ecosystem in practice? So you did mention a few in your previous response about the ability of vLEI to live outside and off-chain and on-chain. I guess that's part of the answer, but what's your view on helping bridging traditional finance with traditional systems, legacy systems in some case, and blockchain ecosystems?
Well, I would say essentially it connects market infrastructure end to end. I mean, it makes these on-chain actors discoverable to the traditional financial sector. This key challenge. I mean, we're creating a level of comfortability with the technology, and we're reusing these well-established KYC, KYB, and compliance processes that these traditional finance players are familiar with. That would be my sort of take on it.
Familiarity and compliance familiarity, very, very key. So let's look ahead now. Looking ahead, how do you see verifiable organizational identity evolve across chain, borders, and sectors? And what milestone will define success? It's not going to be a short journey. What do you see coming?
I mean, so in my opinion, Alex, verifiable organizational identity is positioned to become the default high assurance trust layer, spanning networks, spanning jurisdictions, and industry. I mean, milestones that we are likely to see probably center around standardization and a more unified approach or movement toward network agnostic, protocol-based solutions, like I mentioned before, with a shift away from centralized, siloed platforms. I mean, a significant milestone will probably also be a cross-border regulatory alignment and a more innovative perspective. There's probably milestones around the integration of high assurance identity and these new AI-driven business cases. I mean, these will further enable these solutions. They will minimize friction, and they will promote these seamless user experiences that are required to really see adoption.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we have a tradition in the Trust Talk is to finish by this question. If there is a lot of content that we covered today, so if there is one thing you want our audience to remember from our 30 minutes long conversation, what would it be?
I must admit, Alex, I knew this was coming. This kept me up a little bit last night. I would say secure, verifiable organizational identity turns blockchain from, a somewhat speculative playground into critical infrastructure for the real economy. We're talking about enabling large institutions to transact on-chain with the same level of assurance that they expect in regulated markets. So that paradigm shift from who's behind the smart contract and wallet to, we can cryptographically prove who are and what are authorized to do what, is key to unlocking mainstream, cross-border, and the reality here is multi-trillion-dollar business cases, in digital finance and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you, Thomas, for this conversation. As always, it's always fascinating to talk to you and your team and the rest of the Cardano Foundation and Viridian team. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
That's my pleasure. Thank you very much, Alex. I look forward to the next opportunity.